All right, everybody. Well, I went ahead and just hit record. So I know that I got some texts from a few people that said they wouldn't be able to make it on today. So I'm gonna do my best is to make a recording. If anybody has any questions at all, go ahead and post them in the chat and we'll get to you, get your questions answered. I'm not gonna run super long today, but I just wanted to just be here, be present, let everybody know that we're available to help. And so if you guys need anything or you have any questions, like I said, you can just go ahead and post them in the chat or any testimonies for that matter. If anybody wants to share of anything that has been happening in your business, if you had some breakthroughs, any good sales, stuff like that. It's always good to hear, what everybody's been up to. And consistent, persistent effort over time usually produces some results. But what I want to talk about is that, basically, the difference between what we do here in Vollara and what most people do in network marketing or direct sales and things like that. What's the highlights of a business like this versus, other opportunities? Because there are a lot of opportunities all around us. And I had a call last week. In fact, I had recorded it, but I never posted it. Maybe I'll post it today. But when I was talking last week, I said, if I were to pay you $100,000 a year to do this business, what type of work would you do on a daily basis to earn it? It's not just, hey, I want you to sign up and collect 100 grand because it's not that easy. Unfortunately, there's going to be work that's required on our part to get that, and I noticed that my best months are usually the months where I do the most work, and that's just the nature of any business. You put in the work, you're going to get the reward for it. And so, if you were to make that type of income, what type of a effort are you willing to put out to get it? And I see a lot of, there's Dave. How you doing, Dave? I had to mute you, that's okay. But anyways, what are we willing to do to go out and make that, make it? So anyways, what's the biggest difference between Vollara and other opportunities that are out there? Okay. When you think about the network marketing world or the MLM or the direct sales world, there's a lot of different models, and most of them are built on a product with no value. It's a perceived value. It's like, hey, I have this wonder drug. It's been tested by these different organizations. It's some super plant that was found in the deep jungles of South America, and it cures everything that moves, right? And so that, how many of you ever heard of stuff like that? Oh, we have this wonder drug. It's a one size fits all drug, right? It's this herb that was found under a tree, and we're the only people who have this herb, and it's anti-aging. But if you're young, it'll make you feel older. And if you're older, it'll make you feel younger. And if you're fat, it'll make you skinny. And if you're skinny, it'll put weight on you. And if you can't get sleep, it'll give you the best sleep you've ever had. But if you need energy, it'll give you energy as well. How many of you ever heard of those things, right? So you got a product that has no real value to it. It's basically like a placebo. It's there in a place to move money. Okay. And then what they'll do is they'll say, okay, let's everybody get on auto ship, and I'm going to send you $200 a month worth of this miracle thing, right? And I'm telling you right now, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened on the planet Earth. We've got the cure to every disease known to man, right? As long as you're consistently buying your $200 a month in this product, you're gonna be younger than you've ever been. You're gonna look better than you've ever looked. You're gonna feel better than you've ever felt, right? How many of you ever heard of things like this? And then what happens is everybody comes on board for their $200 a month package, so that they can get paid, so that they can feel younger. But no one's actually selling anything because there's no real value to the product. There's no value except for the buildup of, if I get on board with this thing, then I'm going to make money. And what that turns into is a chain letter. I mean, when I was in college, they had a chain letter go around. They said, okay, everybody, you fill out this envelope and you mail it off to 5 people, $20, or whatever the deal was. And then they were all supposed to mail you $20. And eventually, well, my problem was I always joined the chain letter. I was the last guy to join. So I'd send out my $100, and then they'd find out that it was a scam and everybody quit. and I was out $100. But the guy who started it made like $40,000 in 3 weeks or whatever. You know what I mean? And that was been my experience. So what I love is that with Vollara is we have a product that has a real live value to it. It has a real value to it. Like we have, school deals closing that are making people hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have hospital deals that are closing. We have nursing homes that are getting on board. I just was on a school call in California last week. And they said, where were you 2 years ago? Where were you? They said that we bought air purifiers with HEPA filters. They bought HEPA filters for every classroom. Spend millions of dollars on HEPA filters. Where were you? He said, where were you? This is a real value. Now they're like, where can we get the money? How are we going to be able to get the money now? Because they blew their CARES Act money. And, the guy that was doing the call with me said, well, there is a grant that's available, through the federal government for the state of California for air quality. And I was like, oh, wow, we found some money we can use to go out and do this. But what they saw was that this has a real value to it. It's not fake. It's real. And so when you start to add up that value and you say, okay, what is a living water's value? Well, the competitor sells, Kagan sells living water type machines for $5,000. What does a whole house system cost you for reverse osmosis and water, filtration and all that? What does that cost? Maybe 10 grand, 15 grand, 20,000, right? To do your whole entire house. And here we are, $2,500. That's a real value because now not only is it real, it's a fact is that you're saving people money. Is there proven results for our air? Yeah, 100%. I mean, we can go into school systems with charts and graphs and show people that this was the before sick days, this was the after sick. It's proven. Now, I can take the miracle drug and I could ask you a year from now, do you feel any younger? And chances are you're going to say no. Do you feel any broker? Well, yeah, I spent $200 a month for the last year, so I haven't really made any money. I can guarantee you that your wallet feels lighter. But do you feel any difference in your body? Now, hey, man, and you take any placebo long enough, you're gonna make it work. Oh yeah, man, I had a knee problem, and then I started taking the miracle drug. Then after my knee surgery, I started feeling really good, and that's the kind of things that will happen. But with Vollara, I can say, hey, this is the before result. This is the after result. Here's the scientific data that shows you that this machine does what it says it's going to do. We had a guy come through a trade show who had a lump in his throat, cancerous lump, got one round of chemo, and then he got on living water. He found living water. And went in for a checkup, and the doctor said, where's the lump? It's gone. No, like, if the doctor's surprised that the lump's gone, you had a miracle happen, right? And he even said that. He said living water saved his life. I mean, that's real. That's a real result. It actually happened. The same with the laundry pure. I can before and after test people with a Zyto scanner, which some of you guys have Zyto scanners. Most of us aren't using them, probably to the most effective way we possibly can, but most of us have them. A lot of us have them. And I've scanned people, including my own dad, recently, and who has had laundry pure for a year or more. And when I scanned him, he came up for bleach in his system. And I said, Dad, what the heck's going on? You have laundry pure. Why is your laundry showing bleach? And he said, well, when I do my whites, I still add bleach because I like to get them whiter. Proven results. Before I could see the tide in his system. I mean, for real. And I have it documented with ammonium lauryl sulfate and sulfites and optical brighteners and all these things that were coming up in his system because of tide or gain or I think he used tide, right? Now, all I can see is bleach. Now I could say, oh man, laundry pure doesn't work because I'm still seeing chemicals in his system. Well, chances are he's using something. And there's been a lot of people that I've tested who are in Vollara, and I'll be like, man, you're really showing a lot of laundry chemicals. What the heck is going on? Well, I never bought the laundry pure, Well, I wanted to, but I never did it. And I'm seeing it. So before results, after results. and it's proven, right? Proven results, which means that we have a product that has a real market value. So now I can go out and I can sell that product and I can make money. I was talking to a guy the other day who's in our world, he's a famous author and all that sort of stuff, and he goes into churches and he sets up ministry, helps teams and things like that. And he was telling me how sold he is on the Vollara product. Called me the other day and he's like, Mark, he goes, I got to tell you something. He goes, I am so sold on this product. I'm so sold on it. He goes, I love it. He goes, I love it. He goes, because it's real, man. He said, he was up north and teaching in a church in Michigan. And he says, everybody's still wearing masks. He said his mind was blown. He said he gets on airplanes and half the planes still have the mask on with the thing down. And I said, listen, I said, we just got back from Trinidad. And it was the same thing. You go into churches and half the people got masks on, which blows my mind. Like, I don't get it. How can you go to church and serve a God who heals you and yet still wear a mask? I don't get it. Like, I mean, either you believe in the power of God or you don't. I mean, it just that blows my mind. Even like we were talking yesterday about communion, the priest was scared to give people communion because he was scared he'd get COVID. But yet the body of Christ and the blood represents healing and all that, whatever. That's a whole other subject. But he said, I can't believe it, Mark. He goes, but we have the solution to the problem. We have it. And it was funny because when he first started, he didn't want to sign anybody up as a partner. He just wanted to sell these machines. So he went out, and I think his first event, he sold 2 mobile units. And he kept calling me. He's like, man, how much money do I make on that? And I said, well, how'd you sell it? Well, I put it through my front, through my front office or whatever. So I said, well, you don't get paid till next month. And I said, it's going to be like $100 or whatever. So then he signs a guy, and the guy buys a master pack, 15 units. So he calls me and he goes, man, I'm very, very happy with the results of signing that person. He was very happy about his override check. You figure 3,000 points, what's that? Another 600. He made like $1,000 for signing this guy up on a master pack versus selling 2 mobiles and making 200. I think he was way more satisfied with bringing somebody on board and actually making that override. And now that guy who's got a huge church, and now he's got 15 units in the church and the daycare center and all this stuff. He's a business guy who's now seen the light and said, oh man, I can share this business with other people, right? And so instead of having a business that's on a hope of, man, if we all can just get on board and we can all buy, and look, we can do that, guys. We can do it. If you want to run a multi-level marketing business with Vollara, you can do it. It's not going to be easy though. Man, you can say, all right, everybody get on and let's all buy Essentials for Life or Keto Zone, because I know, man, when I drink my Keto Zone, but I got proven results because I can take Keto Zone and I can feel great, right? So, I mean, I know that it works, but so why don't we just build a business on Keto Zones like most network marketing companies would do? Why don't we just do that? Why don't we just all say, okay, hey, forget about the air, water, and laundry, and let's just go take our miracle drug, Ketone Zone, and we're going to go out and we're going to say it's the greatest product on the planet Earth. If everybody would just buy $200 worth of Ketone Zone every month, you don't have to sell a thing. You just have to drink it every day. And then maybe you give them to people to try. And when they see results, they'll come on board and they buy. In fact, there's the company right now will give you your first month's Keto Zone free. What's stopping us from going out and building like that? Because that's what every other network marketing company in the world does. So why don't we do it? Why? Because we have a real product that has real results. So we don't need to run a business like that. How many of you ever sold a machine, right? So you go out and you sell that machine and you make $1,000. Let's say you go out and sell living water, $1,000, right? Let's say you sell an air, $1,000. Let's say you sell laundry, $1,000. Let's say you sign somebody and you make $500 because they bought a master pack or a whole house protection. You made $400 or $500. How many of you ever did that? Right? So you could sit back and say, well, this thing doesn't work. And I can prove to you that it does work. I mean, hey, Kim closed a deal that literally everybody in her team made money. Right? So you can't tell me it doesn't work, because there's people that did absolutely nothing. They got paid, didn't do anything. Didn't even never met the school one time and made money on it. So does it work? Yeah, it works. Is timing essential to you making money in this business? Yeah, it's huge. Being in the right place at the right time, talking to the right people, closing deals, making the right phone call, connecting to the right people. It's a lot of timing. But what's the alternative, guys? What's your alternative? What are you going to do to go out and make a living that gives you certain things in life that are more important than other things in life? So like for me, my wife and I were just talking about this. It's not about I'm old enough to know, and I've chased dreams my whole life. You know, I've always chased. I owned a restaurant. I owned two restaurants, right? And it was and we did millions of dollars in business every year, but all it did was it kept me into that cycle of I gotta be here. I have to be here. I have to be here. Why? Because I had 30 employees. I had overhead. I had a landlord that collected $7,000 a month in rent from me. I had bills to pay. I had vendors to pay. I had responsibility to feed people. Why? Because it was their anniversary. It was their wedding. It was their birthday party. It was a special event. It was something. And so what happened was I built something, and then guess what happened with that? Well, it trapped me into it. So I built this thing that was beautiful from the outside looking in, but what it did was it trapped me into a lifestyle of work. That was it. I mean, I had purpose, but my identity was in my business, right? But then when that business failed in 2009, when the economy crashed and there was this release of like, okay, you just lost everything that you worked your whole life for. And then you took a step back, and I looked at my life and I said, well, what was the most important thing? I lost time with my friends. I lost time with my family. I wasn't able to travel. I wasn't able to do things. I was stressed out. I was overweight. I was, whatever. I mean, so I could look at that. My back hurt, my knees hurt, whatever. I had a temper problem and all these things, right? Being a chef in a restaurant, when you're under pressure, when you put yourself under pressure, things come out, right? But then when I walked away from that, I said, what's more important in life? Well, guess what, guys? We have a short window. In the Bible, it says your life is but a vapor. That's it. It's like it's here today and it's gone tomorrow. I was sitting in traffic the other day. I'm going past the graveyard, and I see the dates, and everybody's is different. Some people had a longer dash between the dates, and some people had shorter dashes. It was, some people were born 1860, died in, 1920. Some people were born in 1900 and died in 2000 or whatever, you know what I mean? And so, but the thing is what did you do between the two? That's really what's the most important thing. And what I see with a company like this is that you can make just a few sales. I can go out, or I can build a team, and you don't need a lot, but you can do enough to give you the lifestyle that gives you the freedom to do the things that you really want to do and what you're called to do in your life. That's why we started this whole thing. We saw, an opportunity to take Bible school students here in Tampa and plug them into a system that could give them the freedom to go out and to to live the life that God called them to live. Now, does everybody do it? No. And did a lot of people do it wrong? Yeah, a lot of people did it wrong. Did a lot of people capitalize on things and do things they shouldn't have done and whatever? Yeah, but that's the nature of life, and that's the nature of business. Are there people who quit? Yeah, a lot of them. Are there people who gave up on it? Or are there people who thought that if I can just buy a 5-pack, I'm going to make millions of dollars and I don't need to do anything. I don't need to sell anything. Yeah, there were. But then there was the remnant. There was the handful who said, wait a minute. If I can just do consistent, persistent effort over time, this thing will pay me for years and years to come. Okay. So when I looked at the big picture with Vollara, one thing I noticed was this. When we first started, I know Dave was around, because I think Dave came on like in the first week or something that I joined, and he's still here. And I remember Dave was like, when we did those early calls, who was on the early calls, right? It was Mike Jackson and Robia Turner and some of the old guard, right? These guys have been in the business, and I'm sure that what they were thinking was like, oh God, here we go. Here comes the Gold Factory team. And these guys, man, they haven't like really made their bones, you know. They haven't done the work that we've done over the last 25 years, but they're going to come in and they're going to capitalize on a major wave. And I'm sure that's what they were thinking. But what I saw was, man, Roby has been in this business for years and years. And then, you know, when we went on the trip to Vail and you see there's the new people who were there, and who knows, most of those new people probably won't even be on another trip ever. But then you see the ones that you talk to, like, man, I've been on these trips. I've been on trips with Vollara for 25 years, or I've been doing Eris for 30 years. And I've been on every trip. This one guy said he'd been to like 86 countries of the world, because every time Vollara would do a trip, like, or Eris or whoever he was involved with, let's say they went to Portugal. He said I would book the ticket in and the ticket out and leave myself like a 3-week window. And then I'd go from Portugal to Spain to Italy to this place to that place. And I just kept checking countries off my list, thanks to the company. And I started thinking to myself, I said, wow, I said, that's a huge difference, is that it's a real live business. You don't have to quit it. Like, you don't have to be like, oh man, you know, I had 2 bad months in a row with Vollara and I got these machines. I have people come up to me all the time. And it's the most frustrating thing for me is people come up to me and be like, man, I got 5 machines in my garage. You want to buy them? No, I don't. I really don't. I want you to go out and sell them to someone else. If my son can load machines in a wagon and pull them door to door in my neighborhood, what's your problem? You're a grown man. You got contacts. You got, you know, you have, why can't you go out and sell your 3 machines? Why? Why can't you do it? It's because you're lazy. That's what it boils down to. You're just lazy and you want everybody to do the work for you. So don't ever call me saying, hey, I want you to buy my machines. It ain't gonna happen. Because I got my own. I got 3 in my garage. Okay. But you know what? A month ago I had 12 in my garage, or 15 in my garage, and now I only have 3. And I could, if you call me in June, I might not have any. See, like this last trade show, I had nothing except for 2 weeks before the show. I ended up getting a bunch of units in. You know, so I go in with 12 and I leave with 3. The difference between me and the guy who's had 5 for 6 years in his garage is the fact that we're actually out there doing it. Right? We're calling our leads. We're following up with people. We're making opportunity happen. We're doing healthy home shows. We're meeting new people. We're telling people about our business. Right? So when I looked at somebody like Robia and Mike and, you know, all these people who've been around, you know, started thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, this is a real live business that if I just put a little bit of effort into it, I don't ever have to have another job again the rest of my life. I don't. Why? Because people are always going to be breathing. People are always going to be doing laundry. People are always going to be drinking water. Right? I mean, we just had a testimony at our church Sunday, and I don't even know this lady. Somebody gets up and says, oh, you know, I had a phenomenal month. I sold 2 Vollara machines. I don't know who this person is. I don't know whose team they're on. I can imagine, but it's not mine. But that happens. You know, there's a lot of sales that are taking place every month that we never see or we never even hear about. Why? Because somebody joined with a 5-pack or a 3-pack or whole house pack, and they had inventory in their house, and they sold one to their neighbor and they made $1,000 or $1,500, and you never heard about it. It doesn't show up on the back office. It doesn't show, but guess what? That person's happy because they just brought an extra $1,500. What could you do with an extra $1,500 today? So my bottom line, or the point is for this call today, is to realize what you have your hands on. And I know I'm going to have to definitely put this out as a recording, because out of 2,000 people on my team, the two faithful showed up. 2. I don't even know what is 2 out of 2,000 percentage wise. It's like a half. It's like a 1.0001% of my team is plugged in, and 99.99. The part that's not plugged in is like the virus we kill. It's 99.999%, right? But I know that out of the 2 that are on, that the great things can happen. Hi, Christina.
Can I say something?
Yeah, you can say something. You gotta come over here though.
So we were following up on some leads, and the one lady that Mark had mentioned that the Lord told him in the morning that we're going to give a machine away that day. He tells a story how we met this couple in a restaurant, and they end up coming to the show, and we're talking, and finally realize who they are and how we met them at this restaurant and the table next to us. And I remembered that the lady had severe allergies, and that's why we gave her our website. And she's like, well, let me just get your information and I'll check it out. And I looked at her and I said, she's the one. And so we blessed her with the Air and Surface Pro. And I knew in my heart that she would buy it for somebody else, but she never buy it for herself. She's a giver and she would give to others. But I hear yesterday on the phone, I'm talking to her, and I'm saying, like, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm putting my testimony together because this Air and Surface Pro, not only do I notice a difference, but my friends, they come to my house and I have dogs, and she's like, oh my gosh, the smell of the dogs is really, I can't really smell them. Like, what happened? And she explains to him, and she said, here, I'm better because this is the biggest allergy season. I usually am really bad, and I can't believe that this thing works. And then she adopted her nephew, and he's 15, and she's like, his nose is always running. And she said that his nose isn't running. And she's like, so that is someone she loves dearly. And this machine is blessing. So our blessings are going out to many, just not with her, but also with others. And she's excited. She wants to get the water and the laundry. She ordered the H2 fuel bottle. And so it's just amazing, just one seed and following up, because that could be multiple sales. So bless you guys. So glad you're on the call today. We love you. We're encouraged that you're tuning in, and those who can watch it who can't be here today. Bless you.
Did you want to play that? Wow, that's a good story. Hey, maybe that lady could be a business partner with us. You never know. So, but anyways, guys, I'm not going to keep you on here all day just talking, but because I didn't think this would be a long call. It's already 11:30, but I just want to kind of wrap things up and sum it up for you. Is that don't look at this as like a rocket ship. Don't look at it as, I talked to a guy the other day and he said, oh, some people are like fireworks. It's like a big goes up and explodes and then that's it. Don't look at it like that. A lot of us experience that. There's a lot of fireworks in Vollara. There's a lot of people who had the one big thing. Oh man, I joined Vollara my first year, man, I made $100,000, and then what? Your second year you made 4,000, and then you had to pay 25,000 in taxes from the year before, and now you're broke, right? Who cares? I really don't care. I mean, like, if you look at this as a long-term opportunity, it's going to pay you like a long-term business, right? If you look at this as something that's, man, it's a get rich quick deal. I'm going to get in, I'm going to slam it. I'm going to put in 5,000 first level people and they're all going to pay me $900 a piece. You're going to look back at like a trail of destruction behind you. And you're going to say, man, what happened to all these people? And then you have people calling you on a daily basis saying, I got 5 machines in my garage. Can you buy them off me? Right? No, that's not how it works. But if you really look at it like this is a long-term business and it's a long-term commitment, and every day you do a little bit of effort, just a little bit. And it could be small, man. Like it doesn't have to be big. It could be just following up with somebody and just saying, hey, listen, I met you at whatever, at this trade show. I bumped into you at that restaurant. I remember you telling me that you had allergies. I know we're in the middle of allergy season. I know you probably just got your income tax return and you got a little extra money. Let me help you out. Normally these machines are $1,500. I can give you a discount. I can sell it to you for $1,200. Let's get the deal done. And then you'll get these random phone calls. Like the other day, we got a random phone call. Because why? Because we've been at it. Oh, here's the other thing too, is I want to share this with you guys. And I know this is something that I need to do. Is, in business years ago, I used to sell spices. And what we did was for every bottle that I sold, I put my name and address label on it, on everyone, right? And it's funny because now I'll go into people's homes, which is crazy. Like I'll be in somebody's house and I'll open up the cabinet, and you'll see a spice bottle, and it either has my name on it or my dad's name on it, because that was our business for years and years. And it's like, wow, look, and there's a reorder number with the phone number. And you know what? Some of that stuff, like a good ointment, might last you 20 years. And then all of a sudden they're like, man, my jar ran empty. Oh, let me call this person on the back. I wonder if they're still even around. So we need to come up with a system for doing that. You know, like when you sell an Air and Service Pro, have a label that you print that goes right on the box to reorder your parts, to reorder this, to reorder that. Because you know what's going to happen if you don't, which I already know is happening, is they're going to call corporate and they're going to give that lead to Mike Jackson or Dr. Eric or somebody, and you're never going to get paid on it. Why? Because there's no follow-up. How many people have you sold at trade shows or things over the years? I know I'm just as much to blame because I never did it, right? Because the other day I got a call from a lady and she's like, "Oh man, I want to buy. My machine needs cells, 2 cells." Oh, okay. You know, and listen, guys, here's the thing. What I used to do was I'd say, okay, no problem. You know, my cost for a cell is $64. Um, you know, this is what you need, you know, just I would go in, I take the credit card information, I put it through my back office, and I send it, I make 20 points. And now what I do is I do it differently. I go through my front office and I get the price. Because on the front office, it's not 64, it's 84. So now you can make a $20 profit on each one. That's okay, great. I'm gonna send me your credit card information. I'm gonna run it through for 2 cells. It's 160 bucks. I go in, I collect the 160. I go in my back office. I buy them for 90 or whatever it is, 120. I keep the $40 difference, you know, and you actually make a little bit of money on your cells. But guess what? How many people bought machines from me that don't know how to get a hold of me? And guess what? I don't know how to get a hold of them because it was in the middle of a trade show. You're busy. And all of a sudden this guy walks through and says, "Oh, you know, I'll take a machine," and you're excited, you know, and you collect the money and you wrap the thing up, and he walks off. I don't have his name. I don't have his. In fact, there was one and that I was trying to get his info, and then it's like the guy walked away, and I looked at Christina, and I'm like, "Oh man!" I said, "We never got." I wanted to get his phone number down. I want to take down his number. I want to take down his information. I got nothing. And there he goes off into the sunset. You tell me a year from now when that cell dies or that filter needs cleaned, is he going to call me? No, he's not. So these are little steps we can do. Like I have a Dymo label printer that I bought years ago, and I love it. You know why? Because it's heat. You know, as long as you buy the labels, the inks, you never have to change the ink. So why, you know, for trade shows, I need to be printing off 20 Dymo labels that have my name to reorder parts and accessories or for service questions. Call Mark Alfano. Here's my phone number. Here's my email address. Here's my website. Print it, stick it on every box that you sell. Why aren't we doing that? And then maybe even taking them into like a CRM and putting in each person's name and info, everybody you've ever sold, so that you can drip campaign them. I know corporate's trying to do a lot of that stuff, but we can't rely on corporate. I'm gonna tell you something. I've been a part of the lead generation program in Vollara, and I got leads for a while. I don't get them anymore, but I used to, because you have to be paying. You have to be at the pay level of Platinum 5 every month, and all these different things, right? So it's funny. The guys who make the most money get the most leads, which doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. So I'd get these leads, and it'd be like, I was at a trade show and I saw your products and I really want to buy it, but I didn't get the person's number or name. So, but I'm just calling into corporate here, and they gave me your number. So sometimes I'd say, well, where were you at? You know, what city were you at? You know, I try to like boil it down to figure out who is this person, who was it, how did they, you know, how did you meet the person, and then I try to like tie that lead back to it if I could. You know, a lot of times I couldn't do it though. So guess what? I would sell them a machine. So how many of your leads have gone because they met you, they talked to you? And guess what, guys? I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you, is there's a lot of opportunists in a company like this. There's a lot of people who did nothing you know, on a deal, but yet they'll jump in front of the money and they'll take it. There's a lot of greedy people in the world out there, right? So guess what? Don't leave it up to chance. Don't leave it up to like you know, you do all the work. You spend thousands. Dave will tell you this. I'll tell you this. Shows aren't cheap. They're not cheap. So you spend a lot of time and effort and money to go out and to do a trade show. People come through, and you know what they always ask you for? They say, "Oh, do you have a flyer? Do you have something I could take? Can I get your business card?" yeah, sure, take it. Because you know what, man, like most of that's going right in the garbage can. And then when they lose it, because I mean, I've got stack. I go on my desk, I got stacks of flyers and things. I mean, I got piles of this stuff. I collect them. I mean, I go through shows and I collect people's info because I like to. I need leads, right? But most of that stuff goes in the garbage, and then later on down the road, when they really need your product, and they will, they'll call you, or they won't call you. They'll call corporate, or they'll Google it, or they'll buy it on eBay, or they'll buy it through somebody else's website. I know people. What's the name of your company? I'll just write it down. Okay, yeah, you write down the name of my company, but the problem is that when you go online to buy it, it's not going to me. So I did all the work, and I paid all the money, but yet you got all somebody else is going to benefit on my labor, which happens. It happens. Believe me, it happens, right? You do all the work, somebody else gets all the money. So why not stop that? One way is when you're at a show or when you meet somebody and they say, "Give me your card," you say, "You know what? Even better, give me your information." Okay. So like Amanda bumps into somebody and says, but then what you do is like start something in your cell phone that is a group for Vollara leads. Okay. So you know how like you can set up groups in your cell phone. Because if not, it just goes into the general contacts, right? So you start a Vollara leads group. And then when you see, give me your name and number here. Or you know what, even better, why don't you sign up? Why don't you sign up for my free drawing? Why don't you sign? We're giving away $500 product credit towards air, water, or laundry, or 1,000 towards the three. Why don't you just go ahead and sign up? And this way I have your info. That's how you're going to qualify that lead. So guess what's going to happen? The person's going to say, okay, great. That's exciting. Yeah, I'm really interested in this stuff. I'd like to learn more about it. Right now, I just don't have time, or I'm busy, or I'm trying to get through the show, or I don't have the money, or my husband's giving me a dirty look because he came here to buy a deck and I'm wasting his time looking at this water machine. Okay. Then the person may say, "Oh, I'm not going to give you my number." Well, it wasn't a good lead. Because if they're just asking for your number, but they're not willing to give me theirs, then it wasn't a good lead. It wasn't a good lead. So when people do that to me, well, man, if you don't have a card, then guess what? I'm just going to move on, right? Well, guess what? That lead wasn't a good solid lead, because if they're not willing to give me their number, but all they want is my number, then it wasn't a good solid lead, right? But by me collecting their information, now I can put them in a group in my phone that says Vollara leads. And I'll do this sometimes because I used to get leads from corporate. I just mentioned that. And I have them in an email. So I go into my emails and I'll put in Vollara leads, or I'll put in like a search, right? Vollara, and it'll come up. Maybe there's 20 emails from 2-3 years ago. And I'll just email them or I'll call them. I say, listen, 2 years ago, I got your name, number. You were interested in a air or water or whatever. Did you ever buy anything? Have you ever done anything with this? I mean, I know I've been, and every once in a while you'll get somebody be like, yeah, man, I really wanted it, but I just couldn't afford it. Well, now we have a new program that just came out where you can buy a machine for $99 a month, 12 months, $99 a month. We ship it right away. Would that help you at all? If I didn't have those leads somewhere put together, I would never be able to capitalize on it. That's the one side of it. The other side is all the people you've sold who no longer know how to get a hold of you. So come up with a label, come up with your own label, print the label, get a little return address label from your, the ones they send you for free from the wounded veterans or whatever, right? At least it's something. Get your free wounded veterans thing, stick it on the box, or make up some to reorder parts or accessories. Boom. Stick it on every box that you've ever sold. Every mobile unit, every personal unit, everything. Because you know what, Dave, you go to a show, you sell pet refresh. But guess what? The person loves the pet refresh, but then they don't know how to get a hold of Dave. I'm sure Dave's giving out his info, but I'm not picking on him. But guess what? For me, if I'm busy at a show and I was at this last show, somebody comes through as a trucker and he's like, man, I need something for the cabin of my truck. It stinks. And you know what? I said, great. What happens, Dave, whenever somebody wants to buy at a show? Endorphins rush to your brain. Everything shuts off. You know what I mean? Like you're in a euphoria mode. Oh my God, I made a sale. Swipe the credit card. Here's the thing. And then they walk off into the sunset. You don't have their number. They don't have your number. This guy's a trucker. How many other truckers does he know with stinky cabins? How about when he starts running that machine in his truck and the truck smells good? Man, I need to get another one of these things. Well, I guess I'll call corporate. I'll just Google Vollara. They Google, hey, how many have you, I mean, I'm just being real with you guys today. How many of you, when I go to log into my Vollara account, I go to Google, put in Vollara.com, it's always somebody else's website that pops up. It's not mine. So if I was just somebody who wasn't loyal to the rep, and I really love the product, they're not loyal to me, guys. They're loyal to Vollara. They're loyal to the brand. So I mean, I've done this. In fact, is right now, if I go on my phone, I put Vollara, because I'm just going to log in. Okay. So I'm going to just try it. So if I go into my phone, I just put in, you guys can do the same thing. So I just put in Vollara. I go to Google search, put in Vollara. It comes up livehealthyvollara.com. I click on it. So my site didn't pop up. This one did. It's eSkin Healthy Living. Okay. Is that somebody on my team? No, it's somebody in Rick in Conway, Arkansas. So guess what? If I go in there, put in Vollara.com, anybody can pop up. And Rick in Conway, Arkansas, all of a sudden is getting an order through his website, and he's going, wow, how on earth did that happen? And I'm sitting there going like, man, I did that show and I got nobody bought. Nobody ever rebought. Well, guess what? I left a hole. I didn't patch up I didn't seal up everything. I didn't make sure that I could get a return on my investment. That was stupid. You know, hey, I'm a human being. I make stupid mistakes that cost me lots of money. But you know what? I can admit to it. I can admit to it. I can say, you know what? I've made mistakes. I've done things that that cost me money. Why? Because I don't know. Didn't think about it. Was lazy. I didn't really process the whole thing. How many of you ever done that? How many of you ever done something and then you realize, man, oh my gosh, I just left so much money on the table because of an oversight, because of a mistake, because I didn't realize something, because I didn't put in my 200 points for the month and I got, whatever. And then you get that feeling of like, oh, Lord, have mercy, and you start rerunning the numbers and saying, I just cost myself a lot of money. I can guarantee you that in life, we've all done it. We've all done it. Or you'll see somebody, be like, man, I really should talk to that person about Vollara. And guess what? Next thing you know, you're on a corporate Zoom, and you're looking and you're like, what? That guy's on there. That was my person. Why are they on there? Who signed that person? Oh, well, they went to the church and they signed up at the booth with Pastor Eric. Oh, well, I was going to talk to them. Oh, you didn't. Why? Because you left a hole. So then what's your position now? Do you get offended? And do you say, well, forget that company, man, because my best lead just signed up and they just sold a school and that was my lead and I missed it? Or do you just say, you know what? I'm going to use it as fuel? Because guess what? My intuition was right all along that person would have been a good person, but I just didn't follow through with it. I left a hole for the money to slip through. I didn't seal everything up. It's almost like in the Bible when it says if you don't give or you don't tithe, that it's like having a change purse with holes in it, right? So whose fault is it that you left the hole in the change purse? It's my fault. Okay, so I have two choices. I can get angry and I can say, okay, well, I missed out on this thing and I can walk away from it. And I can go sell the miracle drug from the jungles of South America. It's anti-aging that makes you feel good. I can go do that business. But guess what? Until I fix the fact that I'm able to leave these gaps and holes and not see where I made my mistakes, until I'm willing to learn from my mistake, it's just going to happen again in the next business. It's just going to happen again in the next opportunity. And I'm going to have another opportunity to get offended by somebody. Or I can just say, hey, man, let's fix the mistakes. Let's make us an adjustment. Let's say, okay, I just did a show. Now let's learn from it. Okay. So I wasn't going to go all the way till noon, because I know you guys have lives and stuff. But what I will tell you is this, is that I just want to share this last thought with you. First of all, the whole idea of this call was to say that this is a real opportunity. It's a real business. It's not fake. You don't need to be ashamed of it. People are seeing the light. And so we need to make sure that we're present. Just be there, be present, right? They're coming up with this new technology now where you can take it into a house, you can do an air reading. And you know what? There's going to be a lot of people who jump on board with this thing. They're going to go and they're going to set up teams and they're going to go door to door and they're going to capitalize on your hard work. But what I'm going to tell you right now is jump in front of it. Look for those opportunities. Don't just sit back and say, get offended and say, oh man, so-and-so just went out and they started knocking doors and they're testing air quality in every house and they're selling air service pros. In fact, they sold one to my next door neighbor. I can't believe it. Just get out ahead of it. We already know this technology. We already know this. You know, I mean, Mike even alluded to the fact that there's going to be a coupon. There's going to be a $200 service, but if you use this coupon, we can come in and do it for free. It's going to cost us money, I'd imagine, to have that device. It's not going to be free. Maybe it's a subscription-based thing. I don't know how it works. In fact, they were supposed to do something for the leaders this Saturday to get us an opportunity to try it, and corporate scrubbed it. They said, no, we're not going to do that. So guess what? We all got to wait until May 31st, and who knows if it'll ever happen or not. We're praying that it does. You know, there's a lot of things with corporate that they say they're going to do it and it never happens. So I don't get my hopes up until I actually see it. But all I'm saying is don't wait. Don't sit back and wait. You know, maybe we need to do our own research and figure out ways we can go do this ourselves, right? But don't leave the hole. Don't leave the room for a missed opportunity. Own it. You own your business. Don't let people steal deals from you. Don't ever do that. You know, have boldness. That's right. Don't leave a hole. Don't leave it. Just have boldness.
Can I
Fight.
say something to that?
Yeah, go for it. I love it.
Awesome. So in healing school, you may have seen this, a woman and her daughter, they testified, not this Sunday, but the past Sunday. And she had she had basically shared how she had dealt with mold issues, and the Lord radically healed her, just from any like sort of side effects of that. Well, I had in my spirit to just like ask her about Vollara, because, you know, just to have a machine in your home, obviously the Lord did the miraculous, he did the supernatural, but just to, have a machine in your home, if you had that or not, it's just, we know everyone should have one of these in their home. And so it was kind of like, oh, do I go up to her? Do I not? Do I speak to her? Do I not? But I felt that in my spirit, like, no, take the opportunity. So after one day in healing school, I spoke to her and her daughter about the technology and the business, and she's very interested. I sent her an email and she's looking into it, and I'm believing that I'm praying, she's gonna see the difference in, this technology versus something that she has, which is passive, which we know. And yeah, so I just, the boldness to go after it was like, do I do that? Do I not? But I went for it and I'm excited.
Awesome. Good for you, Amanda. Now here's the next step is if you have a machine to lender or whatever, just say, I'll give this to you for 3 days to try out, see if you feel the difference, I mean, that's kind of the next move on a deal like that. But no, that's it. Go after it. Like, don't let people step on you. Don't let people take your deals. Don't let people jump in front of the money. Fight for what's right. Fight for what's yours. Do it with honor. Do it with integrity, and
yeah, amen.
yeah, and keep the main thing the main thing. And listen, God does the supernatural. We do the natural.
Yeah.
So guess what? The lady screwed up. She didn't do anything to take care of the mold in her house. She lived with mold. And as a result, she got sick from the mold and God healed her. but then he also gives us common sense to say, well, why don't you take care of the mold problem too? You know,
Yeah.
and he's given us a technology to handle that. You know, so it's
Yeah.
not like it's like, you know, you're down in the power of God by saying, well, you know, you need a Vollara machine in your house. Well, you know, you also need to take your vitamins, you need to exercise, you need to eat right, you need to, you know, we have to do
Right.
things on, we have to do the natural. He takes care of all the supernatural stuff, you know.
Right. And she did have another system in place already, was what she communicated with me. It was some other brand, but it was cool to be able to share with her, you know, the active versus passive, because no matter what the other brand was, it wasn't Air Doctor, it was something else, but you know, it was passive. So that's a
Yeah.
really good suggestion to give her something. I
Yeah,
will
and the thing
communicate with
is
her.
like you said, like we know the difference. Like when I was talking to the school system, I said, they said, oh, yeah, we invested all this money in HEPA filters. I said, that's great. That's good. It's good in addition to what we do. You know, I mean, air exchanges and cleaning the air. It's just like somebody was talking. I was doing a trade show and they sell Rainbow vacuum cleaners. Now Rainbow is like, we clean the air. Okay, great. So what, and that's their whole claim to fame. Like they're cleaning the air because when you vacuum, the dirt goes through water and then it, you know, it collects all the dust and whatever. But who the heck runs a sweeper 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Are you going to leave your sweeper just sitting there running? No, you're not. And it's great because guess what Vollara is going to do? It's going to drop a lot of dust out of the air under the carpet, and then your Rainbow can come clean it up. So the fact that somebody wants to invest in a Rainbow, hey, great. If you need a Rainbow vacuum cleaner because you got issues in the air, then you definitely need a Vollara machine. So anytime you see, like, so what I told the school was, I said, listen, I said, that's great. You got HEPA filters. It's really, really good because it's always good to clean the air. But the problem is if I, like I always say, like if that computer screen, that fake computer screen behind me was the world's greatest HEPA filter and the person in front of me sneezes, where's all that stuff going between here and the HEPA filter? Is that HEPA filter going to get into the mold that's in the cracks and crevices of your walls? So I'm on the phone with this guy from California. And now listen, California, you can't do a plus unit. You can only do active pure, no ozone, right? And I'm on there with this guy, Jose, and he says, yeah, he goes, as a matter of fact, he goes, I had mold in my house visible on a wall. And he says, I ran the machine and it killed it. I mean, that's a real life testimony. You know what? You could have the greatest HEPA filter in the world. It's not going to get into that mold on the wall. It's not going to get into the cracks and crevices. It's not going down into the ductwork, and it's not going to get into the carpeting, and it's not going to get up into the ceiling tiles and things like that. It's not going to kill anything at its source because it's passive, right? And so when you tell people that, it's not a knock on HEPA. I said, look, I'm not going to knock HEPA filter because they do a great job. In fact, we have one in the back of our machine to protect our machine. So having multiple layers of filters is good. You know, it's like saying, well, you know, I wear a seatbelt, so I don't need an airbag. No, actually, you need both. You need a seatbelt and you need an airbag. You know, and you need crumple zones and you need all these other things. Let me tell you something. I was in a head-on collision a year and a half ago, and thank God for all that technology. You know, hey, there was airbags that blew out of my car that I didn't even know existed. You know, but guess what? I walked away from a head-on collision with scratches from the airbag, but with no bodily harm or damage. So guess what? You need a HEPA filter and you need a blue light in your furnace. But what you really need is Vollara to get into all those places that those things can't reach. You know, yeah, go buy a $2,000 Rainbow vacuum cleaner to keep the air in your house clean and to keep the carpet clean. Do it. What's it going to hurt? It's not going to hurt, but it's not going to be the solution to the major problems that you have. So yeah, I think that's something we can all learn from is really capitalizing on everything and knowing your technology and why it's so much further superior than everything else that's on the market. It's like I never ever when I'm on talking to people and I don't say, listen, man, you like with this school, I said, look, I said, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you made a mistake and you bought the wrong stuff. I said, knowing what you knew at the time that you knew, and your objective was to protect kids, you did the best that you could do with the information that you had. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough people on the streets to get to you in time. But now we're here and let's move forward. What happened yesterday was yesterday. Let's fix tomorrow, right? And they people appreciate that, because if you're all you're doing is telling them what you're doing is wrong, it'd be like me standing on a street corner screaming to people, man, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you better repent. Or I could just say, do you know that God loves you, he's got a great plan for your life. Totally different. I come in love, the other person comes in fear and hate, right? So don't be that guy. When you're talking to people and they say, oh man, I bought an air doctor. I'll go, well, that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you waste your money on an air doctor? Guess what? They're going to get upset with you. If we used to do it with masks. Hey, take off the stupid mask. I'll trade it in for, whatever. We got aggressive, right? But now it's like, hey man, I see you wear a mask. Obviously, you're concerned about the quality of the air that you're breathing. Do you realize that there's a more excellent way? There's a better way. If you want to wear the mask, continue to wear it. But the thing is, you have a beautiful face. Why do you want to cover it up? Why do you? Because you really don't need to. And then you go into the positives of what we have to offer. But I always say, look, and I've set people free from the mask in love. We had a couple that had double masks, and now they're Vollara, like spreading the Vollara gospel, one person to the next. Take off your mask. Let me show you. There's a more excellent way. They're actually buying personal units and giving them to people because they believe in them that much, right? So we have the best. So I guess I'm going to go the full time. So just to wrap everything up is just realize who you are, where you're at, what you have your hands on, that this is not a get rich quick scheme, that it's not a multi-level marketing pyramid deal, that it's not, whatever. Guys, is there a multi-level marketing aspect to this thing? Sure. Is the top going to benefit from your work? Sure. Are you going to miss out on money because you don't understand the compensation plan? Most likely. But can you go out and sell a machine and make up for it? Yeah. Right. Can you tighten up the holes in the change purse and capture all the money? Because guess what? There's going to be a time, man, where you're making money just on people buying cells. Every day an order comes through my back office for cells and for water filters now. What's that going to look like 10 years from now? That might be the bulk of my income is little cells coming through, because you sell a school system and they have 400 machines. That's 800 cells. That's thousands and thousands of dollars that are going to have to be replaced every year, every 18 months. That's called residual income. But are you going to be there to receive it? Or are you going to let it go to corporate and go to some lead generation box and have some Platinum 5 pick it up and make all the money for all your work? So fill the holes, right? Fill the holes. So I'm going to just say a quick blessing over you guys. So Father God, in Jesus' name, God, I just pray that everybody is blessed on our team, Lord God. I pray for open doors and opportunities. I pray that you bring us deals that are out there, Lord God. I pray you show us who to talk to, when to talk to them. And God, we just rebuke the devourer who tries to steal from us. And we call in what's rightfully ours in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, guys, listen, bless you all. We'll see you next Monday or sometime in between. And go out and get it. Congratulations, everybody. Bye.